In November of 2017, the highly anticipated Star Wars Battlefront 2 was released to the public. The game was immediately plagued with many controversies, and this would become its legacy for years to come. Despite the relatively smooth launch of Battlefront 2015, BF2 would release to far more criticism. EA's reputation of controversial decisions in terms of microtransaction overpricing, glitchy launches, and rushing studios once again damaged another IP. And it's safe to say Battlefront 2 was hit the hardest by these issues. From absolutely insane microtransaction prices to an overall lack of content and countless bugs, BF2 had everything you don't want in your brand new game. Despite all these struggles, Star Wars Battlefront 2 rose from the ashes and made a comeback for the ages, not once, but twice. At launch, BF2 was extremely bare bones, with major characters like Obi-Wan and Anakin completely missing from the list of heroes. But most importantly, one very detrimental issue remained: the pay-to-win system, which made it so that players had to decide between sinking countless hours into the game or spending loads of money to unlock their favorite heroes. Awareness of this issue truly rose when a user by the name of MBM Maverick made a post on Reddit complaining about not having Vader unlocked even when he spent $80 on the game. EA promptly wrote a response explaining how they wanted players to feel a sense of accomplishment for unlocking characters. This backfired heavily and resulted in them getting over 650,000 downvotes, which still today stands as the most downvoted Reddit comment of all time. The significance of this Reddit response was not yet anticipated by EA, which would later spiral the game into a path that nobody saw coming. On top of this, Battlefront 2 was still unfinished, unbalanced, and empty, leaving many fans to lose hope in BF2. However, there was now a perfect opportunity for DICE to polish the game, and it's safe to say what they accomplished was groundbreaking. Following the launch, after many players quickly quit the game, support for Battlefront 2 continued on a very steady pace, with 2018 having 12 major updates. The most notable update was the revamp of the progression system, which meant that players could now unlock everything by simply playing the game and earning their upgrades. This would be the most important update for Battlefront 2 because of the previous controversies with microtransactions and for resolving many balancing issues. With each update, BF2 slowly improved. However, this would not be the case for the player base. It seemed that Battlefront 2 would suffer from its past, and it wouldn't get the recognition that it newly deserved. While the loyal Star Wars fanbase stuck around for the updates and watched the game turn into a wonderful and immersive experience, the people who left were not looking back. In 2019, Battlefront 2 once again had 12 major updates, with the most notable being the addition of Anakin Skywalker. However, when he first arrived in the game, the balancing for his abilities was completely broken. He was the strongest hero at the time, and everyone knew it. However, he eventually got his nerf, and the community soon rejoiced as Battlefront 2 was once again balanced. 2020 was unfortunately the last year of support for BF2. The game received 3 updates, with the final update and most notable being the Scarif DLC. This included the addition of Scarif as a map, a new game mode for Supremacy which was set in the Rebellion era, and many new hero appearances like Darth Maul's mechanical legs and Rey's yellow lightsaber. The final message to the Battlefront 2 community from the developers were: the vision for Star Wars Battlefront 2 is now complete. Whether you agree or disagree with them, the majority of fans felt extremely disappointed, and it left the community wishing for more fan favorites like Ahsoka, Mace Windu, and even Asajj Ventress. Instead of getting characters that the fans actually wanted, the last heroes they would receive would be BB-8 and BB-9E. This felt like a final slap in the face to the fanbase. After all of this, the game's support would be cut when EA decided that their resources would be better focused on creating Battlefield 2042. Unfortunately, the launch for this game would not be received any better than Battlefront 2. This would create a bad reputation for DICE, and it would force them to make an entirely new strategy for their future games. When we speak about Star Wars gaming as a whole, players have felt there was a lack of multiplayer content, with BF2 being the only one that's somewhat recent. Once Battlefront 2's support was gone, fans had nothing left to fill that desire, leaving many of them to move on from Star Wars gaming as a whole. only returning once a year around May 4th. With zero multiplayer Star Wars games being released or even rumored, EA has had 2 single-player titles, which are the Jedi games, and Ubisoft-created Star Wars Outlaws. Jedi Fallen Order was received very well, but its sequel, Jedi Survivor, was not up to the same standards. It was once again a buggy and poorly performing rush game from EA. Outlaws, on the other hand, was a complete disaster, and the game barely received any recognition compared to the Jedi franchise. Honestly, fans have already forgotten about its existence. So, after these AAA games and a few smaller ones like Squadrons and the Skywalker Saga, the need for Star Wars multiplayer still remains, which has been shown most recently with the comeback of Battlefront 2. It's May 4th, 2025. The push to return to Star Wars Battlefront 2 is once again popping up on social media, but unlike the years before when the game only saw a slight increase in players, this year would be very different and change the future of Star Wars multiplayer forever. Instead of the game's player base increasing for a couple of days and dropping back to a new low, it would only rise, and at a very unprecedented rate, which has never been seen in BF2's history. Over the past month, the game has seen a new high in player counts, to the point where servers are frequently crashing. This can be attributed to many factors, but the one that sticks out the most is the push for Battlefront 3. It seems like everywhere you go, whether it's a TikTok comment section or a Twitch chat, you can see the words Battlefront 3 receiving countless likes and replies. The movement has been so large that it's resulted in streamers and YouTubers returning to Battlefront 2 content. After all of this, we have seen the Steam player count reach a high of 19,000 players, which doesn't include the EA launcher or even console numbers, which are likely much greater than the PC player count. In fact, the support for BF2 has been so immense that there's not just one event that can explain why it took off so quickly. From the yearly May 4th boost to the lack of Star Wars multiplayer, and most importantly, the immense community push for Battlefront 3. Recently, social media has been filled with clips of people playing BF2 again, even bringing newer fans into the game. Streamers like XQC, who have a massive fan base, came back and streamed it multiple times to thousands of people. This has had massive effects on the Twitch streaming category, bringing over 25,000 concurrent viewers into the Battlefront. On top of this, famous YouTubers are returning to the game. For example, Zanny has over 2.5 million subscribers and has returned to making content for Battlefront 2 once again, and those videos alone have garnered over 3 million views in just the last month. Even my old videos from years ago are blowing up once again, proving that people want content for this title. This kind of viewership is what revives a game, and without the support from content creators, BF2 would simply die again, this time being even more painful because there was a new hope that things would be different. On top of all the support from the fanbase, even developers and actors who have worked on Battlefront 2 in the past want to see it return. Recently, several former devs have posted about their wish to return to the Battlefront team on social media. Even the actress for Iden Versio, who's the main character of BF2's campaign, has posted about how good things live on, effectively co-signing the franchise's return. The most important question we can ask is, will the hype last long enough? This is the deciding factor in whether or not EA listens, or brushes this idea to the side. If the hype for Battlefront 2 remains at a steady pace, then BF3 seems more and more likely every day. For a long time, the Battlefront community has only had dreams of a sequel to lean on, and even if the game's support fizzles once again, the true fans can know that Battlefront 2 was seen in all of its beauty one last time. DICE may have developed both Battlefront games, but at the moment they are completely focused on their new Battlefield game. On the other hand, EA no longer has exclusive rights to make Star Wars games, and this can mean that any publisher can take on the project if given the rights to the IP. The two most likely options would be DICE finishing up their next Battlefield game and then returning to the Battlefront, or a completely different studio would be given the chance to start developing the game. Both options could prove to be successful, but the only way that BF3 would work is if they learned from their past mistakes and listened to the fans. There are many features that weren't included in Battlefront 2 that could be revisited for the third. The Battlefront community deserves new characters, maps, and much more, as they have stuck by the franchise even when all they had was hope. We don't know for sure if Battlefront 3 will ever actually be considered, but what we do know is that thousands of people desperately want the next title. So that's where you come in. If you truly want this game to return, simply keep playing it. You don't need to hop on every day, but keep it in the back of your mind and get on every other week and enjoy Battlefront 2 in all of its glory. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and go check out my last video, The Artistic Downfall of Call of Duty Zombies.